What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and this is why we can't have nice things, guys, okay? This is why we cannot have nice things, okay? Because these are the morons that Kathleen Kennedy is hiring, okay, to run Star Wars, all right? Why Star Wars, the Acolyte, is focusing heavily on female villains. Now, I am not saying anything negative about the female villain part of it, all right? But you have to understand why she's doing it, okay? It's this cuckoo nonsense that these cats do, and this is the stuff that's destroying entertainment first and foremost, all right? But specifically Star Wars. These people, they just want to interject themselves and their lives into every piece of writing that they do. They cannot just sit here and tell good stories, okay? They have to interject their own personal experiences into everything. Let's just read this real quick. This is on CBR.com. The Acolyte showrunner Leslye Headland reveals her personal motivation for spotlighting female baddies in the upcoming Star Wars show. The Acolyte creator and showrunner Leslye Headland recently explained why this upcoming Star Wars streaming series focuses heavily on its female villains. Headland discussed the Acolyte's baddie-centric approach to storytelling in an interview with Empire, revealing that it was her experiences as a pop culture fan growing up. When I was a young queer girl, I was just hanging out with Ursula the Sea Witch from Little Mermaid, she said. As a queer girl growing up, you hear that? Okay, this is what is informing everything that she's doing with Star Wars. As a queer girl growing up, if you don't identify with the heroes and the villains show up and they're all queer-coded, you're like, yes, that's me. Headland also touched on how this will affect the Acolyte's tone, hinting that the show will offer a more arch vibe than Star Wars fans are used to. As a queer filmmaker, you're going to see some camp in the Acolyte, inevitably, but I would say that tonally our references are darker, she teased. So yeah, so let's go over what this chick just said, okay? Queer came up about 4 or 5 times in this paragraph. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So queer, 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 queer. That's what's informing this thing. And then again, I have nothing wrong with people from different communities, okay? But I would just like you to tell us a story. I'm not sure that we need to constantly push whatever your personal situation is onto the film or onto the television show or whatever the case may be, all right? And I understand there's always going to be a little personal piece of you, okay, that goes along with the story, but this is more than just a little piece, all right? She's saying that basically her queer upbringing or her growing up as a queer girl completely informs this entire show, all right? Again, you have to sit back and wonder exactly what are we going to be getting. This is just red flags waving all in your face, all right? Can you just make a television show? Can you just make a Star Wars show that tells a good Star Wars story, all right? George Lucas, as I keep saying, and let me go ahead and show you that clip again as to why he created Star Wars in the first place and what was the tone and the mission of Star Wars. What was it that Star Wars was created for?
You know, it's hard for people to realize, and I'm not supposed to say this, and I wasn't supposed to say it then, but, you know, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
But it brings out the kid in all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it was designed to be a film like mythology of this is what we stand for. You're about to enter the real world. You're 12 years old. You're going to go on into the big world. You're moving away from your parents being the center focus. You're probably scared. You don't know what's going to happen. And here's a little idea of some of the things you should pay attention to. You know, friendships, honesty, and trust, and doing the right thing, living on the light side, avoiding the dark side. Those are things that it was meant to do, and obviously...
It doesn't get any plainer than that, right? Okay? The mythology of the story that he wanted to pass down to future kids and generations to teach them what? How to live in this world, how to grow up, how to move, how to operate, okay? You know, the things that you should avoid, the things that you should cling to. This chick is saying, yeah, we're going to make an entire story about the villains because I saw myself as a queer villain when I was growing up. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, okay? I just don't understand it. Again, I'm not hating on this chick in terms of her, you know, identity and how she feels that she needs to identify herself, okay? But the queerness is usually related to something sexual. So why is that informing your Star Wars stories? Your sexuality should have absolutely nothing to do with how you're informing your writing on your Star Wars stories, unless you're writing specifically for that group. Okay, if you're writing a story specifically for that particular group, fine. Okay, but you're not. You're writing it for a giant mega franchise, a huge IP. All right, so this stuff is just out of control, and it's just kind of getting tired. The showrunner discussed the Acolyte's more morally ambiguous spin on the Star Wars franchise in a previous interview, noting that she took her cues from the 1999 Phantom Menace. Specifically, she singled out the film's portrayal of the Jedi Order as being more fallible than previously assumed, as something that the Acolyte will explore in greater detail. The Jedi really think they're right, and Star Wars creator George Lucas tells us that they're wrong in the Phantom Menace. Let me talk about this, okay? A lot was made about this statement. I didn't do a video on it, even though I was about to, but I got caught up in something, and then it kind of went dead. But since it's here in this particular article, let me discuss this. You could say the Jedi were a lot of things, okay? You could say they were arrogant. You could say that they were myopic. You could say that they were flawed, okay? I think all of that fits the Jedi, all right? But wrong in terms of what? Like, this is such a vague statement. They're wrong in the Phantom Menace. They missed a huge aspect of the dark side rising. That doesn't make them wrong, okay? Again, that makes them myopic, you know, slightly arrogant maybe, but not necessarily wrong. That's just felt like fertile ground to look into what's going on for all of us right now. What's going on for all of us right now? Again, this whole us right now stuff, they're talking about modern times. They're trying to relate everything that they're writing in their show to what's happening right now. That stuff is, that's why we can't have nice things, okay? These people got to push, promote, and insert themselves and their own personal opinions on society at large or whatever into everything. George Lucas wrote myths. He wrote something that spans generations. These people are talking about what's happening right now. Right the hell now. Let's talk about that. All right. And then 20 years from now, nobody is going to be informed by right now because those people aren't living in those times. When you write a timeless classic like Star Wars, okay, that spans multiple generations, okay, that's something that you can really cling to. This is just here today and gone tomorrow. All right. It's this kind of empty-headed trash that these cats keep making. And the thing about it is, yeah, she's talking about the Jedi inside the story. They missed a huge aspect of the dark side rising. Again, that was a portion of it. But it wasn't that they missed it. The dark side clouded their judgment. Okay? There was the cloud and the specter that Palpatine placed over that. He was a very powerful Sith. All right? And there was a lot that I think this chick doesn't understand of how powerful Palpatine was. And yeah, it's possible you could say that the Jedi got a little bit too arrogant. They were a little bit too flawed, okay? But like, again, this is kind of like taken away from the character of Palpatine, in my opinion, all right? You know, like the Jedi were there and Palpatine was opportunistic at that time to come in there and go, oh, you know, these guys really ain't peeping out what's happening here. You know what? Prime opportunity to run some game on them, okay? That's basically what Palpatine did, all right? And I think this chick is missing that, all right? She's just thinking, oh, well, it's the Jedi that were the problem, all right? And doesn't give any credence whatsoever to the power of the villain in this thing. The strongest villain, one of the best villains, obviously, in my opinion, in all of storytelling, okay? Palpatine is an amazing villain. And I mean, she said, oh, well, it's just the Jedi we're messing up, all right? Which, again, not necessarily not true, but I think she's missing it, okay? She's missing a huge aspect of Star Wars when she doesn't address that, all right? Or she doesn't recognize that, and she thinks, well, it's just the Jedi that were messed up, all right? They just thought they were right, all right? Again, this chick is dumb, man. This chick is dumb, and this show is about to be trash. Headland recently cited a more recent franchise installment, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Yeah, we already know what The Last Jedi's opinion of the Jedi was, and again, a lot of people felt that was wrong, okay? Again, that was another situation where, you know, you really didn't, like, give enough credence to the power of Palpatine. They ran up against a good villain. Every good story needs a good villain, all right? And by basically saying, well, you know, the Jedi were just stupid and weak, that just, again, lowers how powerful Palpatine was, all right? One of the problems that I have with The Last Jedi, many problems that I have with The Last Jedi, was the way that they characterized that, and Luke talking to Rey and saying, you know, they were able to be snookered by the Sith, all right? Yeah, dude was pretty solid, all right? Palpatine's a great villain. I think that especially in that moment, people were very nervous about saying this particular institution may not be the light and perfect, stunning group of heroes that are totally nobly intentioned, Headland said. Headland also reiterated that the revisionist stance on the Jedi Order she and Johnson share is keeping with the Star Wars prequels. Like I said, man, these people don't know the story, okay? They don't know the story. They don't respect the story, all right? They're looking at a very surface level, all right? And again, all of this talk, it tells me that, you know, either you don't respect the character of Palpatine and what he was able to accomplish, all right, by being as strong as he was, all right? Maybe you just don't respect that. I don't know, okay? But ultimately, I think that this chick right here is writing trash. She's inserting herself, and she's giving her cockamamie understanding of Star Wars, okay? Which really doesn't fit how a lot of people, the real Star Wars fans, feel about it, all right? And then you got the whole High Republic and all of that kind of stuff. All kinds of revisionist history. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh, you got to look at Star Wars in light of all of this crap. All right. You got to look at Star Wars in the light of the High Republic. All right. Oh, we're going to tear the Jedi down. So that's the reason that the Jedi were terrible. We're going to tear them down way back in the High Republic era. All right. That's how stupid these people are. They don't understand Star Wars. All right. And, you know, again, there's arguments to be made. I understand people have their opinions. But these guys do not understand Star Wars, and that's the reason why Star Wars has been failing over and over again. They got to fire these people. Can we please? Hey, let's get a GoFundMe together. Star Wars fans out there, let's get a GoFundMe together so we can go and buy this joint, okay? Disney is losing money left and right. They're going to have to sell this joint eventually, all right? Let's gather our pennies, see if we can go in there and buy Lucasfilm out from under these idiots. Anyway, what do you guys think about this situation? Leslye Headland, another idiot running a Star Wars show. Yep, this thing is going to be trash as well, but you guys go ahead, jump down in the comments, give me your thoughts and opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.